So I created the Talking Out Festival. Technically, it started in 2019, but we started doing the virtual performances back in November, and we've had two performances so far, November and March, both of which I'm pleased to say were very successful. The playwrights seem very pleased about it, and we've raised quite a bit of money for the artists and the playwrights. And I started it because, to put it simply, I think there's more increased awareness on mental health issues than there was before, but I haven't seen that many companies or festivals dedicated to this issue. And so, I wanted to do something that was free and open to the public, but also they have the option of donating to the artist so they can get like a meal or a cup of coffee or something. And also to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, like it goes half and half, like half to the artist, half to NAMI. And so this performance coming up in July is going to be our last performance of our first season online of Talking It Out. Hello, I am Anthony Piccione. I am the founder and artistic director of the Talking It Out Virtual Play Festival in support of mental health awareness. If you'd like to learn more about our upcoming performance on July 17th, please watch this video. I think, in terms of charity organizations, there's a lot of organizations out there, not just for mental health awareness, but just all sorts of causes that claim to do a lot of work for the cause they care about, but really a lot of it goes toward paying their staff and all these other crazy things that they don't really tell you about. If you look at what NAMI does, they really do a lot of good work in terms of real life in-person work to actually help people who might be struggling, to give advice to people on what to do in a certain situation if someone's struggling, whether it's yourself or whether it's someone who's close to you, who you care about. And, you can go to their website to learn more about the work that they do. But I picked that organization because I wanted to make sure that even if we raise just a tiny amount for them, that it's going toward not just a vague cause, but also potentially actual work that will help people in real life. The theme is mental health awareness. And that includes anxiety disorders. It includes depression. We had a few plays the past few seasons about dementia and Alzheimer's. We have one play this performance that deals with OCD specifically. We had a play this past performance that sort of alluded to drug addiction and alcoholism, but in a kind of experimental sort of way. It's the broader theme is mental health awareness, but it's not just one condition. It's not just anxiety, it's not just depression. We try and pick an eclectic list of plays, not just in terms of conditions, but also in terms of genre, because we have comedy, we have drama, we had a sci-fi play last performance, so, we have dramedy, so both comedy and drama. The first play is a play called Dinosaur by Stephen Hayat, who was actually part of our March performance. I think you know him well. It's sort of a very comedic take on fears about going outside and what you might encounter. It's about a girl who's trying to be persuaded to go outside by her roommate, but she's afraid she'll get eaten by a dinosaur after watching a movie with dinosaurs. And so, it sounds silly, but if you listen to, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you watch the play, it actually does deal with some kind of serious issues about why someone might be dealing with anxiety or trauma that might cause them to not want to leave their homes. The next play is called Obsession. It deals with a first-time mother and her mother. And so the mom's mom is dealing with obsessive compulsion disorder, and she's afraid that she might hurt her grandchild. And it also leads to a broader discussion of why she behaved in certain ways when her daughter, who is now grown up, behaved, how she behaved around her daughter during that time. And so I had a chance to talk with Bridget, who's the playwright of that play, for my podcast recently, and she actually deals with OCD herself. And I don't think she mind me saying that, but because she said it publicly herself, but it's a very personal, very vivid and realistic depiction of what OCD really looks like, as opposed to when you see people on the street saying, I'm kind of OCD about this. No, this is one of the best depictions of OCD that I've ever read or have seen read out loud by actors. The next play after that is A Day in Life. It deals with a young man who is dealing with anxiety over an upcoming job interview and also has alcohol problems as it relates to that. And he deals with certain discrimination of a certain kind, like in terms of racial and cultural discrimination, to be more specific. And it sort of takes a look at that. It takes a look at anxiety from that lens specifically, and how someone might be feeling both externally and internally, because the second character of the play is actually sort of his consciousness, so to speak. The play after that is called What Size Is Your Onion? It's another play with two roommates, and one of them is dealing with depression, and she documents her recovery in the unlikeliest of ways by, like, every time she peels off the layer of an onion, it signals how closer she is to recovering from her depression, or at least like being slightly better in terms of her depression, because they do acknowledge in the play that, like, when you have a diagnosis of depression, like, it doesn't fully go away. And the last play is called Bonsai. That's written by Randy Gross, who was actually in our very first virtual performance of Talking It Out. Bonsai is about a young man, as the title might allude to it. It's about a young man who is afraid of bonsai trees, who thinks they are alive, who thinks they are coming to attack him and his loved ones. And I really don't want to give away the ending to that, because it's probably one of the more detailed plays in terms of plot structure that we've had in the festival, but it ends very tragically. But it deals with, like, paranoia and schizophrenia, and, like, how it affects loved ones, and what can happen when we don't get the help that they might deserve for that. So these are some very different 5 plays that we have, different in tone, different in terms of how they deal with the conditions that they're exploring, but what they all have in common is, I think, they shine a light on broader issues that I think need to be discussed more. I hope what they get out of this festival is what I hope they get out of I hope they got out of the November March performances, which is that we need to show more compassion toward people who might be dealing or might not be dealing with conditions, because, like, you never know. Like, everyone has a story, and, you know, if people who are familiar with my work might know, like, I'm pretty open about the struggles I've dealt with, but not everyone is. Like, if they tell anyone, it might only be, like, family members or close friends or something. Like, there could be, like, I bet you anything, like, if, like, I'm in New York City right now, right? Like, I bet you anything that if you walk down the streets or ride the subway or whatever, at least a third of the people there probably are dealing with some sort of mental health struggle that isn't obvious. And so I think we need to show more compassion toward people, because you never really know. Like, sometimes it's obvious, but a lot of times it isn't. And I hope when people come see these plays, maybe they'll have a better understanding of, like, if they see someone and they think, why are they like that? Like, why are they behaving a certain way? Like, maybe they'll have a better understanding why, and how it's not entirely their fault, and, you know, they might be dealing with something not so pleasant in their life that they might have no idea about. They need to support not just my festival, but other festivals that support important causes out there. Like, they should support them, because, you know, one of my biggest frustrations in terms of the perception of theater that's out there from people who aren't necessarily theater people is that it's just musical theater, it's just Shakespeare. I'm not knocking companies that do that. That's their right to do that, that only do that. But I think there's a responsibility from those of us who create theater, I really do think, to promote real world issues that maybe either aren't being talked about, or if they are being talked about, we aren't talking about the solutions. We aren't talking about what we can do in our own lives to improve it. We aren't talking about who or where to go to get help on these issues. And, you know, like, I'm not naive enough to think that, like, everything I do, like, it's gonna change the world. But I'd like to think maybe the people who come see my work, who come see my productions, who come see the plays that have been written by these playwrights, for example. Maybe it'll inspire them to change at least part of the world. Mental health awareness has been an important cause to me for years, and I know there are a lot of people out there who feel the same way. And keep in mind that if you make a donation by purchasing a ticket, then you'll not just be supporting me, you'll be supporting the people who are involved. By the way, many of them have been open about their own mental health struggles, I should know. And you'll be supporting NAMI. And you'll be supporting, I'd like to think, a theater festival that has been doing good work to promote this to not just theater in New York or LA or London, but all over the world. We've had artists and audience members who've come from all over the world for the past few performances, and that's true for this performance too. And, look, I've said before, we're going to be expanding the festival next season, so we'll be bringing in other directors for different plays, in addition to bringing in lots of different actors. We're going to have a wider variety of plays. We might have some other content that we'll be putting out through our festival, so if you support that, then yeah, you should absolutely, that should be your main reason for coming to see the festival, and to support our artists too. So we do run the performance, a recording of the performance, I should say, for 2 weeks afterwards. We can't do it beyond that just because, some playwrights are iffy in terms of, I shouldn't say they're iffy, they're worried that, what opportunities that might get closed off if their play is somewhere on YouTube, and part of me gets that. I'm a playwright myself, so I kind of get that. But, for anyone who can't be there the day of the performance, yeah, it'll absolutely be available on YouTube for 2 weeks total. Usually I upload it the Monday after our Saturday performance, and then I keep it up for 14 days after that, and that's on my YouTube channel, and I post it across our Facebook and Instagram pages too for the festival. So if you can't make it on July 17th, no worries. It'll be available for 2 extra weeks after that. We're actually going to be announcing in the coming weeks, by the time this interview airs, plans for our next season, which will begin in November. And we'll be doing not just short plays, but also longer one-act plays and one full-length play over the course of late 2021 to mid-2022. And I don't want to say anything too yet, but we might also have some plans for additional events that will not necessarily purely be theater-related, but they'll still be very exciting. I don't want to spoil anything because these are still early plans, but I'm very excited about the future of this festival. But for now, people should definitely go see this July performance. A, because they're great plays and we have a great cast, but B, it's also going to be my last time directing all the plays. This started out as a super simple thing that was just me wanting to get together a bunch of actors to read people's plays, first in person for one time, super minimal, and now virtually. And strangely enough, I actually think the virtual productions are more aesthetically pleasing than what we did in person, which was at the Dramatists Guild Foundation Music Hall in 2019. And I think it's going to be really cool. Well, if you want to learn more about this festival and the work that we do, you can go to www.facebook.com/talkingoutfest, and you can follow us on Instagram @talkingoutfest, and I hope to see you there on July 17th.